Good morning, everyone. Our lesson for today is about nutrition and fitness. At the end of this lesson, you are expected to, number one, identify the different role of food and fluids in providing energy necessary for everyday activities and in exercise. Number two, determine the different basic food groups and how it affects the body's chemical and physical processes. Number three, know the different types of fluids available for consumption, its effects, and its importance to a healthy body. And number four, know what food labels are and the importance of learning how to understand each specific component. Okay, so let us first define the word nutrition. Nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and growth. Nutrition particularly refers to the science of food and how the body uses and maximizes its purpose in health and disease. Food can keep your body strong in as much as it can also be the cause of your diseases. Whatever you consume can directly relate to the diseases you can possibly acquire in your lifetime, or whatever you consume and in how much amount you consume food and fluids, it can directly affect your body's energy level, well-being, and health. So here, we always mention that the food we eat directly affect the condition of our health as well as our physical fitness. So it is said that we can last up to 10 days, let's say 7 days, up to 10 days without food, but only 3 days without water. So water is such an essential component in the body which fuels the proper circulation of blood. So this then promotes efficient functions of the internal system. So there are two questions here. We have, why do you have to monitor your food choices? And what is its exact role through your fitness journey? So the answer is that for you to maximize your fitness goals and protect you against many forms of diseases. That's why it is very important for us to have knowledge about the food nutrients. Simply by having a great deal of knowledge about the necessary nutrients available in food, and the right amounts to take in, then you will be successful in making the right, or let's say, the proper choice for yourself. Also, it is important for us to choose the diet that we appreciate or syempre yung gusto natin. So also, it is important that the food or the diet you have is available anytime you need it, or let's say, convenient. Now let's proceed to the basic food groups. There are three. But anyways, basic food groups refer to the classification of the different kinds of food based on the types of nutrients and energy that they can provide to our body. We have here the macronutrients, micronutrients, and fibers. So the first group is what we call macronutrients. So we have here three forms. We have the proteins, fats, carbohydrates. So these are all direct sources of energy that your body can absorb and use for several internal processes, such as transfer of blood, organ system functions, and for you to be able to function properly. Or let's say that for you to do your daily tasks accordingly. So let us define macronutrients or let's say as the nutritive components of food that the body needs for energy and to maintain the body's structure and system. So that is according to Dr. Anderson Walford. So the first one is proteins. So there are proteins that are made up of amino acids that are put together to form tissues and organs, or let's say to form tissues and organs from your hair, nails, skin, and other internal organs. Proteins are the most essential component or structure that make up these tissues. And when amino acids bind together, they can be responsible for tissues to heal and to repair. So this allows your body to recover from any form of diseases, traumas, or injuries. So there are two types, or let's say two forms of protein. We have complete and incomplete protein. Complete proteins are a type of protein that contains all of the essential amino acids you need for your tissues. Again, amino acids help you to repair or to heal your tissues, your damaged tissues. And this type of protein is very much abundant in food sources like fish, pork, beef, poultry, and eggs. Or in short, complete proteins are usually found from animal sources that have been consuming even before. So this type of food gives the body the enough nutrients it needs for different important bodily processes like effective muscle contraction and internal organ functions. Next, we have the incomplete proteins. So this type of proteins come from plant sources that have low or very little traces of essential amino acids. So examples of these are spinach, broccoli, nuts, and grains. And the recommended protein intake for us, actual recommended intake for proteins in a day for people who are not physically active is at 0.8 grams per kilogram of the body or of the weight. While if you are active and if you are engaged in regular physical activity, your body requires at least 1 gram of protein in relation to your body weight. So what will happen if I take beyond the recommended protein intake? So this will be a result of severe dehydration and complications within the internal organs. Also, stored fat and weight gain. Or in or let's say on the other hand, too little amount of proteins will be a result of improper cell functions and malnourishment. So that's why we should provide the nutrients needed by our body, or let's say enough lang, balance lang. You can consult a nutritionist. So nutritionists are professional, or let's say they study the food and the energy it can bring to our body. But somehow, consulting to nutritionists may be expensive. So if you don't have any health complications or body complications, then you can try to do your diet in your own or to make a diet in your own. Okay, now let's talk about the fats. So there are three forms of fats, but later on we will see about that or we will discuss about that. For now, let's have some introduction, or let's say that fats are needed by our body. So yes, there are fats that are necessary to our body. So it helps our body or internal organs to be protected, and at the same time, fats are very good source of usable energy for your daily activities. Also, there are some forms of fats that are carriers of vitamin A, D, E, and K. So that's why we should have enough, or let's say balanced fat in our body. We have the saturated, unsaturated, and hydrogenated fat. So the first one is saturated fats. So this is also known as bad fat. So, or let's say low density lipoproteins, the form of lipoprotein in which cholesterol is transported in the blood. So this type of fat are characterized as being solid and room temperature. Or examples of food high in saturated fat are butter, whole milk, cheese, ice cream, palm, and coconut oils that are found in baked products like cakes and cookies. When saturated fats are in excess in your body, this increases your chance or your risk for cardiovascular diseases, cancer, and obesity. Next, we have the unsaturated fats. So this type of fats are characterized as being liquid in room temperature and primarily found in vegetables and seafood. So this is also considered as good fats, or let's say high lipoproteins or high density lipoproteins. So it removes the cholesterol from the blood. And there are two types of unsaturated fats. We have polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats. So this one helps you to avoid or to reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. And this one helps you to lower your bad cholesterol and increase your good cholesterol. Again, meaning to say, if you include this in your regular diet, this will help you to decrease the chance of obtaining health-related diseases. The third one, or the last form of fat, we have dehydrogenated or trans fatty acids. These are fats that result when hydrogen is added to liquid oil to make it more solid. This process is known as hydrogenation. We have here processed foods such as chips, French fries, chicken nuggets, chocolates, hot dogs, sodas, and beer. And this type of food contains high trans fatty acids and also high levels of salt and sugar that can be very harmful to your kidneys and your blood sugar levels. It is important for us to associate proper exercise and other nutritious food. And the recommended fat intake for us is 5 grams up to 20 grams. We have carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are the most important macronutrient needed by the body. During movements, this is the first form of energy readily used up and burned by the body to support several organ system processes. Carbohydrates are particularly needed by the blood cells, and without this type of nutrient, cells will not be able to function effectively and efficiently. So here are the examples of food that contains carbohydrates. We have breads, rice, pastas, corns, grains, and other seeds. And in return, pag na-digest na to ng katawan natin, it turns into glucose. So glucose is a simple sugar that the cells in our body use for fuel. And without glucose, most of our energy will be taken from other forms of macronutrients. And this would be a direct sign of malnourishment and can be detrimental to your health. And the recommended intake of carbohydrates is 45% up to 65% of your total daily calories. Now, let's proceed to micronutrients. Unlike macronutrients that are highly needed for energy production and effective functions of the body, micronutrients are only needed in minuscule amounts by the body. They aid in producing several enzymes, hormones, and other substances that are very essential for your growth, development, and healing. The two types of micronutrients essential to the body are the vitamins and minerals. And these two, the vitamins and minerals, are assistant of macronutrients in breaking down the food. That vitamins are organic substances required in small amounts by the body. And take note that vitamins provide no direct energy, but they are mostly responsible in unleashing the stored energy in carbohydrates, fats, and proteins when they break down through the process of digestion. Then we have here the free radicals versus antioxidants. Free radicals are unstable atoms that can damage cells, causing illness and aging. They attack healthy cells occurring through a series of chain reactions that can contribute to cell damage and its proper functioning. So actually, this is naturally created by human cells, but they are also come in high concentrations from environmental sources such as exposure to toxic chemicals like pesticides and air pollution, also smoking, alcohol, and fried food. Then what are antioxidants? So these are molecules that can safely react with free radicals. What they do is that they terminate the chain reaction of free radicals before vital molecules are damaged. If your body lacks the enough vitamin it needs on a daily basis, antioxidants can be released within your system, exposing your body to many forms of infections and diseases. So aside from taking the enough macronutrients that our body need, we should also take enough vitamins so that we can release the antioxidants in our body for us to avoid having diseases and infections. So there are two forms of vitamins. We have the fat-soluble vitamins or sabi nga natin, ito yung mga vitamins na nakukuha or dala-dala ng mga fat natin or ng taba natin sa katawan. That's why it is important for us to have balance of fat. So I think you are already familiar with this kind of vitamins. So vitamin A aids in effective eye function. Food sources for vitamin A usually come from sweet potatoes, carrots, dark leafy green vegetables, fish, and liver. Okay, so vitamin D is responsible for absorption of calcium or let's say para sa ating buto. So examples of food high in vitamin D are animal products like beef, egg yolks, cheese, and fish oils. Then we have vitamin E. It is used for protection from free radicals. Example of food high in vitamin E are spinach, almonds, and sunflower seeds. Also, we have vitamin K. So it is important for blood clotting and tissue repair. So it helps you to recover from any damage in your body. Food sources with vitamin K are green leafy vegetables such as such as spinach and broccoli. Then we have here water-soluble vitamins. This type of vitamins are composed of vitamins B and C that are further classified into more complex vitamin structure. Vitamin B is mostly responsible for cellular metabolism or how the cells converts chemical into usable energy. So food for this are fish, meat, eggs, and cheese. Of course, there's a lot more. Then for vitamin C, ano-ano nga ba yung mga citrus fruits? So it is important, the vitamin C is important for the growth and repair of your tissues. And the food sources can come from fruits that are mostly citrus in nature. The sourer the fruit, then the more it is packed with vitamin C. The fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble vitamins. So they are critical for ensuring your body's growth and development. Also, they help you to protect your body from infections and several forms of invaders that are brought about by factors in the environment. Okay, next we have minerals. Minerals come from soil. These are compounds that get absorbed by plants and animals that end up on your plate and in turn get absorbed by your body. Siyempre, pag nakain na natin, napupunta na sa atin yung nutrients. And the body only needs minerals in very small amounts. This is because their only role is to interact with other vitamins to perform the work that they are supposed to do within the body. Now, let's talk about the fibers. So fibers are indigestible substance found in food. Usually it comes from plant sources. They are specialized type of nutrient that are very essential for digestion. They serve as cleansers of the intestinal tract because they aid in the passage and absorption of food in the body. In terms of fluids, there are a lot of forms of fluids. We have first the water. So water is the most basic form of fluid. At ang tubig ay walang binibigay na calorie, walang energy, at walang nutrients. But still, we should provide enough water within our body so that the internal organs will function accordingly. Or let's say that they are going to do their responsibility. Without water, processes like digestion, food absorption, and chemical reactions within the body will not be possible. Next, we have energy drinks and sports drinks. Energy drinks. These drinks claim to provide extra energy and are marketed for their stimulant effects on the mind and body. Or let's say na kiniklaim ng energy drink na nakakapagpalakas siya or let's say nakakapag-improve ng performance and concentration ng isang tao. But this advertisement tend to be misleading. Or meron lang siya ng high caffeine and sugar. While when we say sports drink, so sports drink replenish not only water, but also other forms of nutrients that have been released by the body. And we said that sports drinks contains electrolytes that needed by our body. So it could help you to perform your physical activity. So between the two, if you are about to choose, we should choose to have sports drink because again, it contains electrolytes that are needed by our body. Unlike this one, so it contains caffeine and sugar. Next, we have coffee. So coffee and tea both contains caffeine, and too much caffeine will make our heart beat abnormally or let's say magkakaroon ng irregular beat or to be exact, magpapalpitate. Caffeine in the bloodstream can cause problems in blood pressure. That's why the only limited serving for caffeine in a day is no more than 3 cups. Anything in excess of that can be already be harmful to your body. So if you can limit yourself of having 3 cups or less, let's say 2 cups a day, then that's enough. Next, we have exercise timing. Knowing the proper exercise timing prevents you from hurting yourself during the activity, as well as in minimizing the level of effort you put in your exercise routine. Or we already mentioned about this when we talk about the exercise discomforts, that if you take a heavy meal before the activity, then you may acquire side stitches. So if you are about to take heavy meal, you should give 1 to 2 hours of time for your body to digest the food that you have taken in. Now, if you are about to take light meals like sandwich or boiled eggs, then after you eat, you can do the activity, or let's say minutes after you eat, you can perform your activities. Now, let's proceed to or let's say, to the understanding of food labels. Food labels are used to provide consumers with a detailed information about the contents of their food to help them make good food choices. So it is made for us to have choices or to be aware of what we are going to eat. But somehow we tend to ignore the food labels. But it is important for us to focus or to take time to know the contents of the food we are about to eat. So this includes information about the ingredient of the food, specifications about the amount of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So here is an example. Serving size gives you the ideal total size and number of serving in a container that you're supposed to consume. Meaning to say, this container contains 8 serving, or let's say it is good for 8 people, or 8 persons, and pwede rin siyang pang 8 beses na kainan, hindi sa isang upuan lang. So each serving contains 55 grams or 2/3 cup. Kapag susukatin natin kung gaano karami ang isang serving. Siyempre, you're planning to have 1 serving, so kuha ka lang ng 2/3 cup. Amount per serving, so this refers to the total number of calories your body gets from the recommended serving size. So here, it is said that 1 serving, or let's say 55 grams of this food contains 230 calories. Next we have low fat versus fat free. So yung mga ganitong labels, the labels of fat free and low fat are already posted, or let's say it's already on the front of the packaging. But still, if you want to check if it is true na it is fat free, so make sure that the fat free serving has 0 grams of total fat and 0 grams of saturated fat. So for you to check, you're going to check if 0 total fat, okay, check. 0 saturated fat, check. Then this is fat free. So this means that your body is not gaining any fat nutrients from this food regardless of how many serving you consume. Then we have the low fat. Low fat serving has 3 grams of total fat but has 1 gram of saturated fat. Low fat food essentially means that each serving must have less than 3 grams of fat, and anything higher than 3 grams of fat is no longer considered as low fat. So you're going to check is the total fat is 3 grams or below. If it is 3 to 1, then that is low fat. But if it is higher than 3, then it is not low fat. So that is how we try to look for the food labels. So that's all for our lesson, but take note that it is very important for us to know the nutrition by our body, and of course for us to provide this necessary food that our body needs.